So I've already ranked every classic, modern, and adventure-era Sonic game, but with the release of Sonic Frontiers, I've decided to rank just the 3D Sonic games this time around because I realized that splitting everything into eras was kinda dumb. So yeah, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking every 3D mainline Sonic game, so let's just get into it. Starting off with a game that most people like for some reason, but I sure don't. My main issue with Sonic Heroes is just the repetitive nature of the game, which occurs both in the level design and story progression. The controls are just terrible for one, which makes the game annoying and unsatisfying to play. The quote-unquote combat in this game is just an absolute headache. All you have to do is spam the attack button and occasionally use a special move, but that's really it. It also doesn't help that many of the levels have these enemy rooms that you need to defeat all the enemies to get through, and most of the levels are they just last for too long, man. You also need to replay basically the same levels 4 times to complete the main story, and what makes this even worse is just having to play the Chaotix levels because they're just a chore. The only thing I really like about Sonic Heroes is the soundtrack, which is a given for most Sonic games, but overall, Sonic Heroes' repetitive nature combined with unsatisfying gameplay makes the game just not enjoyable for me, and I definitely think this is the most overrated Sonic game. Jesus Christ, man, what happened here? Sonic Forces is the perfect example of a game that just tries to please everyone, but it ultimately ends up pleasing no one because this game just sucks. This game is as bare bones and generic as it can get for a Sonic game. There's just really nothing going for it. The game is short because you can beat it in under 3 hours. The story is just laughable because it's trying to be serious, but it just falls flat on its face. The forced nostalgia with the random callbacks, reused levels, and freaking classic Sonic is also irritating. All of the levels are very short, and most of the 3D stuff is just a straight line. The Avatar character, while a cool concept I guess, is just completely unrealized as it's literally just modern Sonic but with a grappling hook. And the music isn't even that good. Like, how is that even possible? The only reason why I'm putting this game above Sonic Heroes is that the gameplay isn't as bad and the game doesn't drag on for that long because it is so short. But holy crap, man, this game is simply a dumpster fire at the end of the day. Alright, let's just get this out of the way real quick. I do not think that Sonic 06 is the worst game ever made, nor do I think it's the worst Sonic game ever made. Does the game have issues? Yeah, a lot of issues, but I don't think they're enough to bring the game lower than a 5 out of 10. The glitches and bugs are abundant, and they can definitely be annoying, but some of them are actually pretty fun to play around with. The gameplay is also really unpolished because there's really no sense of momentum at all, and everyone just feels so slippery to control. But I'll give Sonic 06 some credit here because there are definitely things I like about this game. The soundtrack is simply one of the best in the series, and it definitely carries the game to an extent. The story, while very confusing and inconsistent, presents some interesting ideas that, if executed correctly, could have been very interesting. In fact, I think that's a perfect way to sum up this whole game entirely. Sonic 06 is just a jumble of ideas that, if executed correctly, could have been one of the best Sonic games ever made, but only if they were given a little more development time. Well, here goes nothing. Just hear me out on this one, guys. I think Sonic Adventure 2, while still being a good game, is super overrated. This is mainly due to 2/3 of the game being pure filler that just isn't very fun to me. The treasure hunting stages can be very time consuming because they require you to run around aimlessly until you find an emerald. And it doesn't help that some of these stages are super large. I also don't like the mech stages with Tails and Eggman because all it consists of is holding down the square button and watching everything play out. The speed stages with Sonic and Shadow are obviously the best part of this game because they include good level design and fun gameplay. The music and story is also really good, but I just can't put Sonic Adventure 2 any higher on this list because most of the game is just simply not fun to me at all. If you consider this to be the best 3D Sonic game, well, even the best Sonic game ever, then I can see why. But me personally, it just does not give me the same amount of enjoyment as the games that are higher on this list. Well, aren't I just the king of hot takes today? Why did he put Sonic Lost World over Sonic Adventure 2? Yeah, I did, and I can already hear the sound of everyone spamming the dislike button because of it. But I don't really care, because Sonic Lost World is just a very fun game if you ask me. However, as far as story, writing, and level environments go, yeah, it's not very good. But the way Sonic controls in this game, the parkour system, and the movement is just so satisfying to master. I can definitely see why certain aspects of this return in Frontiers, because Lost World's gameplay is just simply unique compared to other Sonic games, and I can't believe it was never fully implemented in another Sonic game. But I think what really ruins Lost World for most people is its lack of originality, because yeah, this is very clearly meant to be a Mario 3D World clone that's meant to pander to Mario fans. If Sonic Lost World had interesting levels in a well-written story, then it would be almost a masterpiece. But hey, at least the music is pretty good, and big surprise there. So Sonic Adventure has a similar issue to Sonic Adventure 2 where you have to play through a lot of filler to get the true ending to the game. However, all of the playable character campaigns combined is around one half of the whole experience, with Sonic's story being the other half. And unlike Sonic Adventure 2, you can play as whoever you want. You can only play Sonic's campaign if you want to. You're not forced to play as the other characters. The mech stages and treasure hunting stages are also way more fun than they are in Adventure 2. The level design is fantastic, the music is outstanding, the controls are just some of the best in the entire series. However, Sonic Adventure 1's lack of polish caused it to not age very well. However, I can look past that because SA1 is just a fun game with a lot of variety and most of it is enjoyable to play. You already know what part isn't enjoyable. Sonic Generations is just loads of fun, and there's not really any glaring issues I have with it besides the length of the game. If you make a beeline to the end of the game, you'll probably spend around 2 hours or so, which kinda sucks, yeah. Classic Sonic's gameplay also isn't really that good if you ask me, but it's still kind of enjoyable. Modern Sonic, however, is some of the best gameplay in the series, and the level design is almost on par with the daytime stages from Sonic Unleashed. The extra content is fine enough, but it's not really worth playing if you ask me. The challenge gate stuff isn't really my thing. This game is also visually stunning for a game that released on the PS3 and Xbox 360. It's definitely a massive improvement from Sonic 06. Sonic Generations also just includes a lot of little things that give it a lot of charm, including the menus, the music, the cameos, just a lot of things. But of course, for a game meant to celebrate the Sonic series as a whole, Sonic Generations checks almost all the boxes, but it just doesn't stack up to the remaining games on this list if you ask me. Alright, well, I might regret putting Sonic Frontiers in this spot later down the line because the main reason why it's not higher on the list is personal bias, but anyway, let's talk about Sonic Frontiers. In the gameplay department, Sonic Frontiers almost gets it perfect. The controls are nice, the combat is fun, and the worlds are a blast to run around, mostly. Chaos Island really ruins the freedom of being able to run around freely, so that kinda sucks, but everything else is pretty good if you ask me. The story is also actually interesting and well written this time around, which is definitely something the series needed after Forces. The music is also probably one of the best Sonic soundtracks ever, mainly because it just includes so much variety, and the Super Sonic fights are some of the most hype moments in the entire series. But Sonic Frontiers was just something that the Sonic series needed, and I'm so glad that it turned out well. Okay, I know a lot of people will be mad at the placement of this game on the list, and I completely understand. Because besides personal bias, I really have no other reason to why this game is better than Frontiers or Adventure. This was my first Sonic game after all, and I guess nostalgia is probably why I like it so much. But Sonic Colors is simply just a fun game throughout the whole experience. The gameplay is fun, the controls are nice, the game looks great, just not Colors Ultimate, and of course, the music is great. The game does have its filler though, the 6-act setup just doesn't really work that well in my opinion. And of course, we can't forget about the disaster that Colors Ultimate was. Yeah, if you're planning on playing this game, then I definitely recommend playing the original version instead, if possible. But Sonic Colors remains as one of my favorite Sonic games to this day, and it was actually my favorite Sonic game for a while, until, well, one certain game kinda dethroned it. Sonic Unleashed is the best 3D Sonic game for a multitude of reasons, but of course I have to address the Hedgehog gameplay, as I don't think it's bad, but it's just kind of okay. I don't think it's as terrible as some people make it out to be, especially when you master it, but I can definitely see where people are coming from when they say that the nighttime stages bring the whole experience down for them. But anyway, everything else in the game is just perfect. The story, for one, is very cinematic and actually good. The music is also fantastic, still the best Sonic soundtrack if you ask me. And we can't forget about the daytime stages, which, in my opinion, is the best form of Sonic gameplay ever. Just being able to plow through enemies while going super fast is just so much fun. Not to mention the scenery and the environments in this game are just breathtaking. But Sonic Unleashed is just an amazing experience, whether you like the nighttime stages or not, making it the best 3D Sonic game in my eyes. But that's going to go ahead and end off this video, guys, so let me know what you think about this list in the comment section down below. Do you agree with this list? Do you not agree with this list? And let me know your rankings in the comment section down below as well. But with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.